Welcome back, guys, to another episode, World Cup special. And today we've got lots to talk about. We're going to be talking about game one for everybody involved in the World Cup. There's been some good games. Some of the big names have stepped up, and it's been enjoyable. Like, obviously, how have you found the World Cup? Just watching some of the teams so far.
I think it's been alright, to be honest. You know what I mean? It's level playing field. I do feel like the heat is causing some of the games to, do you know what I mean, be a bit sticky for some certain teams. But I do feel like it's been an alright week. First week of games.
It's always a bit slow. But to be honest with you, this has kind of been hit and miss. So if we run you through the games, obviously we run you through the results if you have missed anything. So Mexico, South Africa, it was 2-0 to Mexico. I think they played good. You know, they showed that they're ready to kind of compete.
In a home stadium, they did their job.
South Korea and Czech Republic, that was 2-1. You had Canada and Bosnia.
1-1.
1-1 on home turf. They looked a bit sluggish. I mean, like I said, what do you expect?
But they're not really a powerhouse.
Yeah, exactly that. Then you had USA versus Paraguay.
Yeah.
That was a good performance from USA. And to be fair to them, they really stepped up and, you know what I mean?
Even though it's a three-way World Cup situation, I feel like they are.
Yeah.
It's their home.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Their home World Cup. So
they came out swinging. They came out swinging. And then you had Qatar, Switzerland, again, another
draw.
Yeah, another draw, and two teams that probably won't compete, as we said. But I think, like I said, it was probably one of those games where you wouldn't have mind if you missed it, let's just say. But again, like you said, evenly matched. Now, Brazil and Morocco, that had a bit of everything, didn't it?
Yeah.
Good game.
That had a very good Galosset game on its hands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Morocco come out swinging in the first 10, 15 minutes. Brazil, obviously on the back foot, but still was there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when the stars turn up.
Yeah, but you know what? You say that, right? But I'm going to be honest with you. It's good that you mentioned the stars. Now, Brazil, like it or not, I personally think are the biggest international football team.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, they might not have been winning it in the last 20 odd years or 22 years since they last won it. But what I mean is when you talk about international football, it's Brazil name comes to mind when you think about it. And they've also won the most World Cups. So on paper, they are
the biggest team. The biggest team.
I'm now looking at their team, and I think you would agree with this as well. Have they got any real superstars? And when I say that, we're going to go back a little bit. If you go back to Pele, Romario, that's like the first era. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then when you go a little bit forward, you have Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, Ronaldinho, Cafu. You know what I mean? Like the stars. And then if you go a little bit further forward, you had Neymar, Marcelo. You know what I mean? Like now, when you look at that team, you think Vini Jr. is probably the only global superstar that's in that team that really and truly wouldn't have gotten to those previous teams we're talking about. And that's no disrespect to him, but you know what I mean? Like when you look at Brazil,
I understand that.
They're not a side that's fair. Like when you look at France, they're flooded with superstars. Yeah. I would probably say take Vini Jr. out the frame. Is there any superstars other than Neymar? But we haven't got a fit Neymar Jr. now.
Yeah. No, there's not really.
No.
But at the same time, eras change.
Yeah.
So yet again, even in the past, Portugal had their team, Figo. Do you know what I mean? Big, strong superstars. But when you look at their team now, you've got everywhere. You've got superstars.
Yeah.
Ruben Diaz in the back. You've got Bernardo Silva in the middle. Vitinha. João Neves. Do you know what I mean? Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So
then the biggest, CR7.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even Rafael Leao, you could kind of I'm not calling him a superstar, but still, he's still got his name, his flair on the biggest of stages.
Yeah.
So, yet again, Brazil haven't really got that, no. But same time, you wouldn't knock it if Brazil go on and win the World Cup.
Yeah,
with the players that they have.
Just because of like it's international football. But will this team be remembered? Do you know what I mean? Like what I'm saying to you is like, even when Brazil didn't win it, you remember those players I spoke about. Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you reckon that Brazil has lost? But do you reckon Brazil's lost their flair? That Jorges, do you know what I mean? Like that sort of flair in their game. Do you know what I mean? Where a lot of their players now are coming into Europe.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They're picking up more of that European game instead of...
Yeah, but a lot of the stars, like if you think Ronaldo, he played in Europe, Ronaldinho...
None of them stopped using that flair.
Yeah.
So even when Ronaldo went to these European countries,
Yeah.
he still had his flair.
Yeah, yeah.
His game was still what he wanted to play.
Yes.
Ronaldinho was still his game he wanted to play. When you, like I said, you look at the France side, you look at Elise, do you know what I mean? You look at Doué, you look at Barcola. They're all playing how they want to play. They're expressing. Brian Cherky.
But is that a this is where it comes down to, is that a lack of producing talent? Not saying they're not producing talent. I'm just saying sometimes you get golden generations.
Yes, like I said, there's different eras.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And maybe now
Yeah.
with this era, they're not really.
There's not. Yeah. Yeah.
They haven't got that expression of
100%.
Do you know what I mean? That Brazil
100%.
X that we are looking at.
Yeah.
But yet again, you see the France side, they've got
bundles of.
do you know what I mean?
of
This
it.
is their era, to be honest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be cleaning up.
So yeah, like I said, man, when you look back at that game there, Morocco looked good as well, by the way. Because you know what? We didn't even give the flowers to Morocco because, to be fair,
but even so, in their own eyes, I think yet again, we're not talking. I'm talking superstars still, but yet again, for Morocco, they are still the biggest of superstars.
In
so
Africa
even so,
well,
Hakimi,
do
you know what I mean? You've got on that right. You've got up front. You've got Brahim Diaz.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So these are the stars of the future.
As I said, we got to give them their credit anyway because, as I said, besides Brazil not having the stars, I think Morocco can hold it down with probably most teams that's in the World Cup. Yeah, so with that said anyway, we had Scotland and Haiti, 1-0 to the Scots, pure passion, pure fan noise. And I can't remember who we had in that group to go through, Morocco and Brazil. Don't be surprised if Scotland cause a little upset because the way their fans are going on, I can see something coming from that little, you know what I mean? Although they wasn't amazing, but I think against the bigger sides, you got to remember in that game they're supposed to be the winners, right?
Yeah.
But when they're playing against Brazil, if they play a low block, express themselves on the
they're
counter,
going to be a very tough team to beat.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, going to be a tough team to beat.
That could be interesting. You had Turkey and Australia, which I told you, didn't I? Remember I said in the first segment, I said Australia, I think they can do bits, but they done all right. They done more than all right to be fair. 2-0, they expressed themselves, knocked it about a little bit. Germany.
Yeah.
Germany.
They look like tenders for this World Cup.
Yeah.
Go and smack it. Even though, yet again, apologies for saying smacking up Caracol, but it was a smacking up.
Yeah, it was, isn't it?
But they still looked, when it was 1-1, Caracol still looked in the game.
Yeah.
It just, yet again, when you haven't got superstars.
No, yeah.
And when you haven't got the players, it's going to be very different in the second half when you've got a bundle of players to come on from the bench. And
then you had Netherlands and Japan, 2-2. Ivory Coast and Ecuador, mate.
Even how I'm saying though, Japan, I think they're a dark horse.
Yeah.
I really do. Like,
yeah.
How they're structured in their game, you know what I mean? To come back as well, because they was losing that game and to keep coming back. You know what I mean? Their heads didn't go down, you know what I mean? And they just played their game. So I really do feel like Japan is going to be a dark horse.
Ivory Coast, Ecuador. That was one of those games, like, they hit the post like 16 times. That game could have been like 8-8. You know those ones in it, bro? Like, there were so many opportunities for both teams and they just kept on hitting the post. So that was a strange one, but as I said, it was quite entertaining if it's from a perspective of like a lot of entertainment.
Yeah. So this next game, Sweden, Tunisia.
Yeah.
You told me.
I told you. What did I say? Isaac, didn't I?
You told me. You told me.
And I didn't realise that Arsenal's striker plays for them.
Oh, Gyökeres.
Yeah, I didn't realise that. So at the time when I said Isaac, obviously you had Gyökeres as well. So yeah, and Graham Potter as well. Still, Chelsea ex-manager.
I always, like I've said to you in the past on the phone, but I've always said that Graham Potter, give him time. I do feel like there is a good manager in there. So on to the next one. Spain and Cape Verde.
Yeah, what a surprise, bro. What a surprise. It was a Mourinho performance.
But yet again,
from them.
like you turned around and you said about these Brazil stars and what they bring and what they didn't bring, at least they scored a goal.
Yeah.
Right? When I look at the Spain side and look at the bundles of stars that they have, they couldn't even score against Cape Verde.
They didn't have all of the stars start though, but even so, they should be able to beat them down.
Who they had on that pitch, do you know what I mean? A lot of teams, or a lot of people would have betted on them to go on and win that game.
Yeah, 100%. You know what I mean? But that's what I love about the World Cup, bro. You get those teams in it that just turn up and they play with the spirit, and the fans are there with them, and the gods of football are there with them.
Anything can happen. Anything
I love that sort of stuff, man. So like, obviously, And you know what? Yeah, like I said, obviously being an England fan and whatnot, you always want some of the big teams to fumble. Egypt, Belgium, 1-1, lackluster game. Like you said, Lukaku came on, changed the game, but he didn't really change the game. He changed the moment straight away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like he came on and then he got the chance. The defender just scored an own goal. So, but prior to that, they weren't good.
No,
you know what I mean?
Wasn't.
Saudi, Uruguay.
Just another 1-1. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Evenly matched teams.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there is a lot of actually draws in this first game. There's been a lot of draws, but yet again, I feel like personally, down to the weather, how hot it is in there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It might be a factor in how many draws there is, but I still think it's been exciting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's the main thing that we want from a World Cup anyway.
Around New Zealand, another draw again. Like I said, there's been some draws, but at least there's been goals. That's what I like the most. And that's what I found bizarre with Spain, the fact they didn't score. But Iran and New Zealand, 2-2. Again, like I said, two evenly matched teams in a respect of they're not going to challenge for the World Cup, but they're going to, you know what I mean? Try attempt to get out the group stage, put up a fight against some of the bigger guys. Now, Iraq, Norway. It felt like the World Cup got started here with Haaland scoring a couple of goals, and you know, I guess it's only a wrap, but it was the start. So yesterday was the big day. I feel like yesterday's when you had Haaland come to the surface. We're going to talk about obviously Messi in Argentina. You had Mbappe with France. So 4-1. We'll start with Norway. 4-1 all around. It was a good performance.
Oh, most definitely.
It's only, like I said, Iraq, but I think, you know, it would have boosted their confidence. Yeah. They would have seen that they've got the guy Haaland up front that they can pass the ball to and he can make things happen. And like I said, it's international football, but it was nice to see, you know, Haaland even in this World Cup because they could have missed out, to be fair. So, Argentina and Messi. Listen, I'm not even going to lie, the way he scored that hat-trick, what he done for it, the way he didn't even roll back the clocks, because I still think that if you put Messi in a winning team anywhere in Europe, he would still win Ballon d'Ors.
Well, even so, look what he's doing at Inter Miami. Before he was there, they didn't win a trophy. He came there, they've won, I think it's 2 trophies now. You know what I mean? And he's top goal scorer and top assist for them. So it just shows where Messi goes.
Yeah. It's mental. Like I said, when you think about it, like, I know it was only against Algeria, you know what I mean? And people will play that down. And can he sustain that throughout the World Cup? It's a bit hard to score a hat-trick against every single team. But what I mean is, I just think the performance...
Well, that was his first.
Yeah.
That was his first hat-trick. That's the first hat-trick in the World Cup. But yet again, like you said, I think personally he will sustain. Yeah.
And they look scary, man. They look like they could... But after now seeing that, he's reminded the world that they probably can win this again. And then that leaves us with just France and Senegal. Again, Kylian Mbappe, the boy.
Yo, wow, in the first half, they didn't look like they was known to score. Do you know what I mean? And how Mbappe, Dembele, Doué,
Dembele went missing. I think Dembele went missing.
But again, like we said about Brazil, I think France have just got too many stars. Do you know what I mean? Because even so, look at Barcola coming off the bench.
And just dominating.
You know what I mean? They still didn't even play with Ryan Cherky, and I think yet again.
He come on at the end, didn't he?
But like I said, at the start, me being a Man City boy, what he's done in his first season in the Premier League, no one's ever done that before. So even me personally, when you're keeping these players out, it's just crazy the abundance. The abundance of players they have. Do you know what I mean?
So yes, it's a quick one today. Like I said, just looking back at some of the games. There are still some games to be played. You got Portugal as well versus Congo. You've got England, Croatia. Big game tonight that is as well. So we're going to be reacting to that. And then I think you've got Ghana still to play as well. So there's still a few games, like I said, to play. But we thought we'd react to the first couple games that's been on.